Happy Wednesday, everyone. Well, not if you're Whoopi Goldberg. AKA Karen Johnson. Yeah, who knew Whoopi was a Karen? I thought that was only for white people, like Toyota Priuses and Ski. Roll it, Francis.
Good morning and welcome to The View. You all saw the news. Whoopi will be back here in 2 weeks. Okay?
So cute when one of their side gets punished. They sulk like they ran out of raw cookie dough and agree.
With its dramatic piano music and awkward, apparently unending moments of eye contact, Whoopi Goldberg's recent breakdown might easily be made into a movie. It would be the pinnacle of cinematic brilliance to slowly zoom in on her face, her eyes full with emotion, and the background music intensifying. Were you impacted by her emotional collapse? Or did Greg Gutfeld's blistering roast make you feel like you lost a little of your ego? You might want to reconsider any notion that daytime TV can't get more dramatic after Whoopi's moment, which serve as a reminder of how unexpected it can be. With insults flowing faster than the rain, and her breakdown occurring sooner than her prior controversial remark, the ensuing takedown was even more repulsive than a Real Housewives reunion filmed in the rain. Hold on tight, because things are going to become more hotter.
Just suspended Whoopi for 2 weeks because she said the Holocaust had nothing to do with race. She said this on a show called The View, which makes everything about race. Except now.
The Holocaust isn't about race. No. It's not about race. It's about
race.
But it's not about race. It's not about race.
What is it about?
Because it's about man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, that's heroically stupid.
The decline began with Greg Gutfeld, a biting Fox News provocateur who sees sarcasm burn everything in its path like a fire in a room full of paper. His caustic comments have a way of inciting chaos, and Whoopi was the unfortunate victim this time. Whoopi, caught in the crossfire, alternated between periods of rest and moments of false confidence, like a cheap garment tumbling around in a hot washing machine. Perched on her faux leather throne, she gave lectures from her place on The View as though she were the supreme authority. Everyone observing could perceive the shortcomings in her demeanor, despite her seeming efforts to maintain order. The contrast between her attempts to regain her footing with scathing remarks and her clearly composed, somewhat defeated moments made the encounter incredibly unpleasant.
Otherwise known as Hell's DMV. Whoopi Goldberg asked how much different are the values of the Trump administration from the Taliban?
We have a leader who has repeatedly demeaned women, right? Wants to defund organizations that benefit women, called on the media to shut up, specifically wants to give preferential treatment.
Let's not pretend that this was unexpected. For this very moment, Whoopi had been preparing. She prepared for the chaos like she would for a vacation, knowing that the next few months would be hectic. Instead, what should have been a vibrant and engaging conversation turned into a chaotic online altercation, like 5 malfunctioning voice assistants fighting for control of the growing pandemonium and showing they were correct. Whoopi pretended to be the conductor of an unorganized, out-of-tune orchestra while playing the tambourine and marching forward as though she had command of the mayhem.
Talk about groundbreaking to actually hear a celebrity say something mean about the Taliban. How dare they compare them to Trump? The Taliban should sue because they ran out of Hitler analogies. So as they bash the president, I'm reminded how entertainers rarely express any rage over any strand of misogynist Islamism. If they did, we might take their rage toward Trump seriously. A reminder, the Taliban throw acid in girls' faces for going to school. Yeah, I guess that's like defunding Planned Parenthood. Radical Islam is all for killing gays, and I guess that's the same as making some rude jokes. You know, Trump's past rudeness is a product of a rude culture, one fed and fattened by a coarse entertainment.
Gutfeld finally gave a clap back, but her answer was as feeble and uninspiring as a wet serviette. It featured all the typical showmanship she often employed, such as dramatic eye motions and exaggerated sighs. Gutfeld dared to use his trademark smug smile and sarcastic, sardonic humor to challenge the reigning daytime TV drama queen. Clearly caught off guard, Whoopi was unprepared for the intensity of his reaction. His tirade was so strong and unexpected that it affected viewers for a long time, resonating like a medium microphone drop across networks.
Apparently they're throwing tariffs on manatee meat and bovine semen. which means the View is very unhappy. Oh, sausage maker Johnsonville has recalled more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
There was more to it than a roast. There was an intellectual breakdown. As she rambled enthusiastically about the latest buzzword-making fads in her group, Gutfeld politely pointed out the faulty reasoning in her argument. As usual, Whoopi used her favorite performance, the breathtaking drop. She became angry. She flailed. It's a strategy she uses often. Play the oppressive card, act like the victim, and then yell, "How dare you!" as if a dove had just sprung out of her sleeve. But this was anything but pure desire. People called this performance art.
You're small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sunny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now the View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter. So instead, let's check out this clip from Monday's episode of The View when the ladies put their science caps on and discuss the soul.
Let's be honest and truthful. Self-praise has grown increasingly prevalent in The View. In an attempt to outdo one another, the speakers make the most obvious statements in the most patronizing manner possible. While others sit there and nod in unison like bobbleheads, Whoopi takes the lead as usual, often making broad generalizations based on an article she scanned more than 2 weeks ago, giving the impression that the conversation is intelligent and profound. The whole dynamic has changed from having real conversations to maintaining an appearance of knowledge and enlightenment.
The rapture is here. Rapture's here, and then also I learned that cicadas are coming. Cicadas. Oh, for the first time in like 100 years. No. For the first time in many years.
No, every 17 years this happens.
Well, that's not what I read, but maybe maybe you know better. All those things together, what maybe made one to believe that either climate change exists. Or something is returning.
Of course, they're not at the mercy of climate change. It's on the ground. They can't.
It happens, and the eclipse. They've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen.
Amazing. That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years.
Guests who dare to challenge the narrative are either easily steered or respectfully dismissed. Now, the presentation feels like a real-time Twitter group chat, complete with quick exchanges and flimsy subjects. When this happened, Gutfeld became involved. But he arrived with hard, unquestionable facts rather than insults. He threw these truths into the mix like an invader in a cozy, romantic home, exposing what many had assumed but few dared to say out loud. It could easily pass for another co-host in the room because of how self-righteous the tone has grown. The abrupt interruption of Whoopi's statement made it impossible to hide her expression of astonishment and surprise. "How dare you question me, mere mortal?" Her expression suggested that she had strolled into a reasoning lecture by accident. Then followed the dramatic sigh, the inflated moral compass, and the weight of the world pressing down on her expensive brooch. The others? A mishmash of vague historical references, erroneous academic jargon, and what can only be described as emotional interpretive dance. Watching her babble on about topics she barely understands while trying to cry without ruining her makeup is the height of primetime ineptitude. You could practically hear the producer pressing the commercial break button.